Business Unity South Africa, BUSA, has warned that any disruption of the economy on Monday will only aggravate a situation that is dire already. We're joined by the CEO of BUSA, Cas Coovadis. Cas, thank you for joining us as always. BUSA is saying it condemns, saying this week it condemns the warnings of violence and looting. Now, the EFF would say it hasn't called for any violence or looting or anything like that.
Well, thanks for having me, and hi to your viewers. Well, the leader of the EFF is on record on both TV and other media of essentially saying that don't interfere with us, but if you interfere with we will have a protest that's peaceful. We have insisted that there be a stay away, but if anybody interferes with us, they'll pay the price. That's intimidation. That's a call to violence as far as we are concerned. Their whole style, they've been going to businesses and intimidating businesses. They've been going to airports and saying that there will be a shutdown here. That's intimidation, and that's going outside of the constitutional right to protest. So we are absolutely clear that their whole demeanor, the statements made by their leadership, their conduct in the run-up to Monday shows quite clearly that they are intimidating and they are actually creating or fomenting a situation where things could get out of hand. And that's why we've actually condemned that in the strongest possible terms, and we've asked the law enforcement agencies to ensure that they do their job and they ensure that property and people are protected.
So that would include a statement like the one from Julius Malema saying everybody has the right to go to work and you have a right to open your business, but there's going to be fire there and it would be stupid to try and do that. So you would include something like that?
Absolutely. So if you're serious about everybody going to work, if they have the right to go to work, and if you're serious about enabling them to exercise their right, and enabling businesses to exercise their rights to operate, then you don't create an environment where it's difficult and in fact dangerous for them to operate. So it's doublespeak, it's populism of the worst kind, and it does not, and this is what the public needs to know. It does not in any way help us address the very genuine issues that they have raised, which is, the energy problem, unemployment, and so on. This actually makes it more difficult for us to address these issues, and the public needs to understand that.
There has been huge concern around the ports, around exports, around what the flooding did, the unrest. And Julius Malema didn't say that's where people should go, but he said that's an example of where they could go. He used that as an example. Now, given the concerns around ports, around the airports, they've also suffered. We know that AXA received a letter. Do you know if those areas are taking special precautions?
Well, we hope so. We obviously aren't privy to discussion that would probably have happened at NetJoints and the National Joint Operations Center. The spokesperson, the chair of NetJoints, was on TV yesterday indicating that they've been working with security services, they've been getting intelligence, and they will be ready in the event of any occurrence. And we trust that they will be ready. This is the time for our law enforcement agencies to demonstrate that they have appropriate intelligence, and on the basis of that intelligence, they will actually be ready to counter any occurrences that go outside of the interdicts that have been obtained. Yeah. I mean, the Western Cape government obtained an interdict. I just saw today that the South African Property Owners Association have obtained an interdict. And those interdicts essentially say, yes, the right to protest is protected, but this is not a stay away, it must be a protest. And anybody who acts outside of the interdict given, which is not to intimidate, not to stop people from working, not to stop businesses from operating, is actually breaking the law, and they must be arrested and they must be tried. And if they are found to be guilty, they must be put in jail. So I think the law and order authorities must understand that interdicts have been actually given, that if anybody operates outside of the interdict or those interdicts, they have the right to actually arrest them on the spot. because they are breaking the law, and they must do so.
What would you say to businesses that want to operate on Monday but are a little apprehensive or very apprehensive right now?
Yeah, I saw the lead-in to this interview from the Road Freight Association. And look, I think businesses, for the protection of their staff and the protection of their property, will take precautions where they don't need to be out on the streets on Monday. They won't be out on the streets delivering and so on. But as the Road Freight Association said, that there are some stuff that need to be done. Emergency equipment, medical equipment, and so on, which is needed in different parts of the country, cannot wait for a day. They need to be delivered. And so I'm sure businesses will be taking additional precautions, private security and so on. But again, we expect the law enforcement agencies to play their role. Private security is there, backup, not as at the frontline people. We are a law-abiding country, and we expect our police to actually play the role that they should be playing. But businesses will take the necessary precautions. I think where they can either operate at less than optimal levels without having a significant impact on consumers and on goods that need to be delivered and so on, they will, just to be on the safe side for both property and staff. I think they have a responsibility to do that. And that's one of the issues around these sorts of courts, because it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whether there is violence on the day or not, the environment of intimidation and violence is created in people's minds, and businesses will, in a responsible way, and they have to do whatever they need to do to protect their staff and to protect their property. And that could, in certain instances, lead to a toning down of business activity on that day, which is inimical to addressing the problems we have. We should be using every opportunity we have and every hour we have to actually grow businesses and grow our economy. This, depending on how many businesses close, depending on how it pans out on Monday, could cost us anything upward of 4 billion rand to the GDP.
Yeah, sure.
And we've already had a 1.3% drop in our GDP in the last quarter. We don't need this, and we need to speak out clearly against this sort of action, because it is not meant to address the problems we have.
All right, thank you very much. The CEO of Business Unity South Africa, Cas Coovadis.